parked in the Kellogg's parking lot and I'm carting my kayak down the La Jolla boardwalk. Off in the surf I can see dozens of trucks parked as kayakers are unloading their kayaks into the surf. On the horizon it's all lit up with the deck lights of the offshore fleet, which are going offshore today to fish for tuna. After launching through the surf, I paddle through the marine reserve. Once I'm out of the marine reserve, I stop in the kelp line long enough to catch 2 Spanish mackerel that I put in my live well to use later for bait. I continue to paddle out past the half, but not quite to the 3/4, where I stop and dropper loop for a squid. The Sea Watch is coming down the line right in front of my bow, and then it all of a sudden makes a hard turn. A deckhand jumps up on the bait tank and is throwing sardines. Another deckhand is running up front to drop the bow, and I hear the captain yelling about yellowtail, and I see them boiling all around the boat. I reel in my bottom rig, put out my fly line with one of the 2 mackerel that I have, and start to troll, and I'm almost instantly hooked up with a yellowtail. There were 2 kayakers who had baits in the water and were hooked up and being towed to sea. My yellowtail follows them and takes me on a pretty good sleigh ride. And then it transitions into a vertical fight, up and down. When I gaff a fish from the kayak, I hold the gaff with the hook down towards the water, and I reach out over the fish, stick them in the belly, and pull them up tight to the kayak. Next thing I do is to put my reel in free spool and pull the fish up into my lap. I attach the game clip, remove the hook, the gaff, and then put the yellowtail in sack number 1. Once my first fish was secure, I started to paddle back to where the Sea Watch was still anchored. When I got within range, I could see that there were several people who were catching fish in the chum line. So I hooked on my second mackerel, fly lined it out, and then started to troll back to where I had hooked my first fish. Shortly after putting out my second trolled bait, it was picked up. Now this area by now had become very congested with boats and other fishermen who were fighting fish, and I didn't want a long sleigh ride which might take me into their lines. So I swung around to the side of the kayak, pointed the rod at the fish, and forced it to pull my 16-foot kayak sideways. After the first long runs were over, the yellowtail dove deep. Now I put my foot on the deck, my rod on my knee, the butt of the rod under my arm, and I put my opposite leg in the water for better balance, and then I winched him in. a thank you to the Sea Watch, who's chumming put their 13 anglers on 8 yellowtail that morning, and at least twice as many kayakers on twice as many yellowtail. Thank you. Landing with this many fish on deck could be tricky, but with my rudder down, I was able to keep my kayak straight and surf it right on into the beach.